And again, obviously, so much hype coming in to this game today. We have unranked Michigan and second ranked in the country, Ohio State. But again, any stats or predispositions about each team goes out the window when they meet for a rivalry game. And obviously a very storied season that the Buckeyes have had this season. So now we're going to get into the season recap of how they've gotten to this point. With one of the most talented rosters in the country, high expectations were set early for this year's Buckeyes team.
Coming out of preseason camp, we felt like we built some depth because we had to.
Last season, Ohio State's undefeated mark was smeared in the game, making it 3 times in a row, falling to the maize and blue.
When you live it year-round, you don't need to put any extra emphasis on it this week. Our guys know everything that you've done leading up to this point has to be about winning this game.
But head coach Ryan Day and staff attacked the transfer portal, bringing in former Kansas State quarterback Will Howard and star safety Caleb Downs from Alabama.
And I just appreciate, the opportunity that I've gotten to be here so much, and I don't take it lightly.
Things started off as planned for OSU, beating up on their first 5 opponents by 25 points or more. And then they went to Eugene, their first time facing Oregon as a conference opponent, and ending in a controversial 1-point loss, the Buckeyes' first of the season.
Welcome to the Big Ten, Oregon!
But luckily, with the college football playoff expansion, that didn't crush the hopes for this team, and they've remained in the win column for all of their games up to this point, including their most recent and arguably most important win over undefeated Indiana.
We've been training all year for this moment, and now we just need to go do it again. And they know it's at stake. Focus on the process, focus on what we've done up to this point, the foundation that's been built, and then go play with our hair on fire.
OSU has been consistently ranked number 2 in the country, but despite being the favorite to win and Michigan having 5 losses, they know none of that matters when it's time to meet on the field, as they're not only playing for pride, but a spot in the Big Ten championship.
Looking at their opponents in the Michigan Wolverines, obviously a ton of turnover from their national championship team a year ago. Jim Harbaugh off to the NFL, a ton of their talent off to the NFL as well. So obviously we knew coming into the season the Wolverines were going to probably be as good as they were last year, but they've done quite a bit to continue to build momentum going into this game. Here's a look back at what they've done so far in 2024.
The 2024 Michigan football team could probably best be described with the phrase championship hangover. Last year, the Wolverines went a perfect 15-0, ending with their first national championship in over 25 years and solidifying themselves as one of the great college football teams of all time. But after losing head coach Jim Harbaugh and staff to the NFL, 13 players to the NFL draft, and even more to graduation, it feels like a clean slate for Michigan. But the fans still expect to win. The Wolverines kept things rolling in Week 1 with a win over Fresno State. But things changed when they lost to Texas in Week 2, their first regular season loss in 3 years. They followed that up with 3 straight wins, including one over then highly ranked USC. But the struggles returned for Michigan, who suffered back-to-back losses at Washington and Illinois. The Wolverines got back in the win column with a win over rival Michigan State, but once again, the team suffered back-to-back losses, this time to the number 1 team in the country, Oregon, and another top 10 opponent in Indiana. Michigan got back on the right track last week with a 50-6 blowout win over Northwestern. But can they keep that rolling against a very good Ohio State team? The Wolverines have won the last 3 meetings with Ohio State, and the players say they aren't scared of the Buckeyes. But now they're in a position Michigan teams haven't been in for a long time, playing the underdog. With a record of 6-5 and no chance at the Big Ten championship, all the Wolverines have to play for is bragging rights and pride.
Now we've been talking about weather all day long, so here we go. Our time for our first trivia question of the show. On record, what is the coldest Ohio State-Michigan game played in Columbus? Now we're looking for the year, so if you know the answer, we'll have that for you coming up at the end of the break. Stay tuned, more coming up here on the Rivalry Special.